Hi there. When it comes to your tax advantage accounts, your 401k, 403b, or IRAs, you may be following the advice that you've heard so often, which is to max out everything. And hey, saving aggressively is usually a good strategy. But here's the surprise. For early retirement, maxing everything out can backfire because you can accidentally lock too much money in the wrong place at the exact time you need flexibility. So in this video, I'll give you the new 2026 limits quickly, and then I'll give you a simple framework. 3 rules to decide what to max so you don't max wrong. All right, let's start with the numbers. The new 2026 limits and how they changed from 2025. For 2026, the employee 401k contribution limit is $24,500, up from $23,500 in 2025. If you're 50 or older, the standard catch-up is $8,000, up from $7,500 in 2025, so your employee total can be $32,500. And if your age is 60 to 63, there's a super catch-up that can go up to $11,250. That amount is unchanged from 2025, but it depends on your plan. There's also a separate all-in limit. The combined employee plus employer total is $72,000 in 2026, up from $70,000 in 2025. This is the annual total additions limit, your $24,500 salary deferral, plus any employer match or profit sharing and after-tax contributions if your plan allows. Catch-up contributions set on top of this limit. For example, if you're 50 plus, you can add the $8,000 catch-up, so the all-in total can be as high as $80,000, which is $72,000 plus $8,000, of course. And if you're 60 to 63 and your plan allows the higher catch-up, that can be $83,250 or $72,000 plus $11,250. IRAs are also bumped up. The IRA limit is $7,500, up from $7,000 in 2025, and the catch-up for 50 plus is $1,100, up from $1,000, so up to $8,600. And if you're wondering why the catch-up only moved by $100, it's because Secure 2.0, passed in late 2022, changed the IRA catch-up so it gets an annual inflation adjustment. And 2026 is basically the first year that adjustment really showed up. 2024 and 2025 stayed at $1,000 due to rounding. And if you're using a health savings account or HSA, the 2026 limit is $4,400 for self-only, up from $4,300 in 2025, or $8,750 family, up from $8,550, plus $1,000 catch-up if you're 55 or older and eligible, unchanged from 2025. So yes, the IRS basically said, congrats, you can shovel more money into tax advantage accounts. But here's the early retirement problem. If you retire early, depending on how early you retire, you may still have years before 59 and a half. And if all your money is locked behind retirement account rules, you can end up saying, I did everything right, so why does retiring early feel harder? That's what we're fixing today. My first rule is max the match first, then pause. Before you optimize anything, get the free money. For example, in your 401k or 403b, if your employer matches 4%, for example, and you're not getting it, that's a mistake. So max the match first, always. That's your foundation. Then we decide what to max next. Rule number 2 is don't starve your bridge money unless the rule of 55 fits you. This is the big early retirement difference. If you're retiring before 59 and a half, you need a bridge, money you can use to live on in those gap years. For many early retirees, that bridge is primarily a taxable brokerage account because you can access it anytime without the 10% early withdrawal penalty, and you can control how much you sell. Now, some of you may be thinking, what about a Roth IRA? Can't I pull my contributions before 59 and a half? Yes, Roth IRA contributions can be withdrawn at any time, tax and penalty free. But I don't like building a plan that depends on that. That's because money in your Roth is precious. It's one of the only places your money can grow tax-free and later be withdrawn tax-free, and you can only add so much each year. Once you spend those contributions, you can't put the space back later. And the rules get tricky fast because Roth dollars don't all behave the same. There are ordering rules. Contributions come out first, then conversion dollars, and then earnings. Backdoor Roths usually show up in that conversion bucket because they're non-deductible traditional IRA contributions that get converted. And those conversion dollars can have their own 5-year penalty clocks, so unless you really know what's in your Roth, it's easy to trigger a tax or penalty surprise. So I treat Roth contributions as a backstop, a flexibility lever in an emergency, not the primary bridge. Now, a quick but important nuance, the rule of 55 can change the math. If you leave your job in or after the year you turn 55, certain workplace plans like a 401k or 403b can allow penalty-free withdrawals from that employer plan. You'll still be taxed on that income, of course, as these withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income, but you won't get the 10% early withdrawal penalty. Two big gotchas regarding the rule of 55. It generally only applies to the plan tied to the employer you separate from when you do retire, and if you roll that plan anywhere else to an IRA or another employer plan, you can lose Rule of 55 access. So don't move it unless you're sure you won't need it. So if you're retiring at 55 or later and you're leaving that same employer and your 401k or 403b allows Rule of 55 withdrawals, then yes, maxing it can make a ton of sense. But if you're aiming for, say, 50, or you're unsure you'll stay with that employer, or you don't have that much in that 401k or 403b to help with a bridge before age 15 and a half, or you just need flexibility, don't starve the bridge. Feed it instead. Like I said a minute ago, many early retirees will use the taxable brokerage account as their bridge. Rule number 3 is don't overbuild tax deferred if it kills tax flexibility. Here's a retirement reality that doesn't get enough airtime. Early retirement isn't just about net worth. It's about control. Control of cash flow, control of taxes, control of what shows up as income each year. And here's a concrete early retirement example of why that matters. MAGI control for health insurance. In a taxable brokerage account, you can often choose how much income shows up on your tax return by deciding what to sell and when. That can help you stay in a sweet spot for Affordable Care Act ACA premium tax credits. And for many early retirees, health insurance is one of the biggest expenses. And for more on this, check out this video that I'll have a link to in the description. Also, if you pile everything into traditional tax deferred accounts, you can create future problems. Less room later for tax planning, potentially higher taxable income later when required minimum distributions start, and fewer levers you can pull in early retirement. This is why max everything into pre-tax can sometimes be the wrong move for early retirees. Not always, but often enough that it deserves some attention. So those are my 3 rules. Now let me give you the simple steps to actually implement them. First, in your 401k or 403b, always contribute at least enough to get the employer match. Don't leave that free money on the table. Second, build your bridge to early retirement. Rule of 55 if you can use it, and or a taxable brokerage account you can tap into anytime without age penalties. And the taxable account can help you control reported income each year, which can be very helpful for keeping Affordable Care Act premiums down by potentially getting subsidies. Third, fund the flexibility accounts, Roth contributions, and or a health savings account. Remember that HSAs are triple tax advantage, tax deductible going in, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawals for qualified medical expenses. Then go back and max the rest, your 401k, 403b, and IRA based on your timeline and your tax plan. And one more thing, the precursor to all of this is the solid cash runway. You want enough cash or cash-like reserves so you're not forced to sell investments at a loss during a downturn, especially in the first few years of early retirement when you're most vulnerable, so you avoid sequence of returns risk. These steps are mainly for people retiring early where you need that bridge. If your bridge and cash runway are already solid and you've funded your flexibility accounts like Roth and an HSA, then max everything out usually makes a lot more sense. So let's end with a simple takeaway. In 2026, the limits have increased, but your goal is not always to max out everything. Your goal is to max the right accounts for early retirement. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what age are you targeting for retirement? 50, 55, 60, and what's your biggest concern about pulling the trigger? Also, take advantage of a free checklist I have too. It's called the 12 Must Do Steps to Retire Sooner and Smarter. It offers a quick, practical guide to retiring early. You'll find a link to it in the description. And when you're on the go, check out my Early Retirement Roadmap podcast and go to mikeupland.com for all of my media. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, take care and make the most of today.